I want to also talk about video games and Matt's meanders mumblings.
Nice.
Idiot day. We talked about immersion on the last episode of the podcast. And Will, you were saying how, you know, for you, immersion is putting yourself into the game. So you make a character that, or you play out your character in the way that you would make choices.
Yeah, I think
which
the
I
word I
feel-
was looking for at the time was agency.
Agency. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like
Um,
on the tip of my tongue, but I couldn't think of it when we were talking about it.
Yeah. Oh, that always happens to me. It's like 5 minutes after we stop recording. I'm like, fuck. Anyways, but when I think of immersion for games, like I think maybe like it started before I started playing D&D, but since I started playing D&D, the way I make characters in RPG games or play characters in RPG games is entirely different now. Whereas I think like when you make your first Skyrim character or you make your first D&D character, you're like putting yourself into the fantasy world, which is fine. But now I feel like, you know, when you get to like your third, fifth, 10th, 100th D&D character, that experience is no longer fun. Like it's no longer exciting to be like, what would I do in fantasy world? Like I've done that before. You know, I've played Skyrim. So for now, it's like, oh, what if I was a woman who was cursed by a dragon and also was blind? Like just so you're getting like a new experience out of it, because then that tailors your like the decisions you make in game. So I'm curious, when you guys make a character in a game, what is your approach, and has that changed over the years? We'll start with you, Luca, I guess.
Uh, Honestly, like I'm the dude that plays the same Skyrim character every single playthrough. Like,
And why is that though? Is that comforting or?
I mean, I just fall into those same like choices. Like I get to like it's like when you get into those quests where you have to make a choice, I'm always like I just want to make the choice that I lean to every time.
Yeah.
Like I'll choose, like for example, I chose the Stormcloaks the first playthrough without finding out that they were racist. Like it happens sometimes, but then you get to like you if I play a dark elf, which I do in Skyrim every time, I can't join the Stormcloaks. Like I can't go to Windhelm and be like, yeah, this is the faction I want to be a part of. So I just end up making, or The Witcher. Like The Witcher is a game that gives you lots of choices that like have moral sort of implications. And I can never play an evil Witcher. I can't kill the intelligent monsters. So maybe I just haven't played like a game. No, I always play myself. That's what I do. That's
well, no, I think even like you say, like you play a dark elf and you're morally opposed to joining the Stormcloaks.
True.
Because
like
if you go to Windhelm, you're like, man, look how they treat my people.
Yeah,
Whereas
no,
if you
that
were
is
playing as a
true.
Nord, you might not be
So
like
inclined.
I know, yeah, but I know I would, just because like me as a person, I'd be like, man, fuck. Like it's funny because like when you first play Skyrim, at least for me, my experience was like, yeah, the Stormcloaks, they just want their land back, and that is something that like I can resonate with based off my real world, biases. But then when you see like the way they're going about it and how racist they are and xenophobic they are, you're like, oh, you guys aren't really the good guys. Like it's really like gray area, because like you guys suck as people, but the thing you're trying to achieve isn't inherently evil. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I struggle with that because the Empire sucks too at Skyrim.
True.
So yeah, but you feel like you make choices that like, because I guess there's a difference for me in that you can set out to like do the right thing when you play video games, which I feel like most people are like inclined to do. When it presents a choice, you do what you think is probably like the best option. But then there's other people who are like, yeah, I'm going to be evil this playthrough. I'm going to do the bad thing. And so you do like the complete opposite of what you would normally choose. But I feel like role playing is somewhere in the middle, where it's just like I would do what my character would do.
Yeah, see, like I've never made a character and been like, I'm gonna play this playthrough through the eyes of this character. Actually, like I usually don't even do like evil playthroughs. The one time I purposely played an evil character was in Fable 3, I think. I don't even have that game. My cousin had it. So I could only play it sometimes. And I just wanted to like make my character like look as evil as possible because it's like the game that changes your like character's physical appearance based on your moral choices.
Right. Yeah. I think the only time I've intentionally gone out and tried to play evil is in Shadow the Hedgehog, where you can do things that make your character evil or good, and that changes the end of the game. The cinematic. What about you, Will, though? What do you go into it like? Do you start with a character or do you put yourself in the game?
I would say most if there's like a character creation, like as we see in Skyrim or even like Dragon Age and stuff like that. Like if there's something where I can like control and basically try and like put myself onto the screen, then I usually just play as myself. So just all right, knight paladin.
All right, knight. Don't fucking say that shit.
This is instant crusader mode. Yeah, but like if there like I found with like The Witcher, like I tried to play it as I remember the first time I played it because like I saw myself playing as Geralt, and like like one of the things that's like common in like The Witcher, I guess, stance on everything is to remain neutral, and like that's how I got like the bad ending the first time is because I was like, well, he's a Witcher, he's supposed to remain neutral, and then so like a lot of times like I would just have Geralt like walk away from something, and then in the end it's just like the worst ending, not just for your character but also just like the world.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it's like super dark, and like I thought that was, and like to me like when I was playing I was like, this is just like how it's supposed to play out. Like I'm because again I thought I was playing as Geralt, mind you, this was like before I read the books as well. But yeah, I'm trying to think. I guess like maybe with some of the Assassin's Creed games as well, like it's not so much as just like character creation, more so just pick, I guess, just like your gender. That's all you have for like, I guess, character creation. And like it is scripted a bit. So I think with those, I usually just kind of just go with the flow.
Yeah.
Like based on, I guess, like what the character would be doing. But most of the time, if there is like some sort of like actual customizable, like Mass Effect or something where I can like, I guess, recreate myself, that's when I usually do it. Then I usually just play as I would, or like how I guess I would idealize myself to do.
Right. Yeah.
Do all the things I could never.
Yeah. Like, yeah. So essentially, like you're making yourself a character in the game and acting as you would act if you were in those circumstances.
Yeah.
I remember, I think like one of the best games I think for this type of conversation is Dragon Age Inquisition, because I feel like you have so much agency in that game, but also like the prompts they give you for role play are also very like can really like define your experience. So for instance, like the first time I played that game, I think I was high and I chose what are they called? Canary. And I was basically like, okay, what if this was like Beauty and the Beast and I was the Beast? And I like made my guy look like the Beast, and like he had like the voice. I think you only get two choices of voice, but he spoke like very like proper and elegant. I just thought it was hilarious, but like he was also a sick character. But like I played him as though like he was like this like ambassador who was trying to be like a staple of his people type of thing. And for me, that was like one of the first times I didn't play myself in a game. And I think it's because like I clicked the wrong thing. I was meant to choose like a human, and I clicked Canary, and I was like, I couldn't go back without restarting. I was too lazy to do it. But then my second playthrough, I very much tried to make myself in the game. You know, when I had short hair and everything, I made the guy with the buzz cut, and it just wasn't as fun. Like, and so my third playthrough, now I'm playing as like an elf woman, and I'm like, oh, she comes from, you know, what are they called? Valisin elves, the ones with like the face tattoos. And I'm like, I'm very much playing that role. I'm like, I'm not really into like you city elves or you human people. Like, and so my choices are very influenced by that. So yeah, I don't know. I think like I get more out of the experience when I'm like, what would the character do opposed to like what would I do? Because like I feel like with playing things like Skyrim, my first 2 playthroughs, I played as myself both times. Like made a red guard with a buzz cut and fucking went at it. And like all the choices that I made in the game are things that I would have done if I was in that situation. But then now I'm playing as like a stronghold orc who's a sorceress. And I'm like, I come up with like this backstory in my head and I'm trying to like play out what my character would do in certain situations. And so like I don't choose Stormcloaks or because like I hate Nords because they took my land, but I also don't like the Empire. So I'm just like neutral and I'll kill anyone type of thing.
So you just don't do that storyline?
Yeah, I just if they roll up on me, I murk them,
Yeah, the actually for a while what I would do, like this was like around the time it came out, but like for Skyrim there was like a website that I found and it was like Skyrim role playing, and like it would like there was like a bajillion different classes and stuff like that, and like people would like create like backstories and stuff like that, and then they would just like give you the stats, like what you should have and like what equipment you should have in order to like play through as this character, and like how they should look and stuff like that. So like I remember I did that like a few times. Like I did like a Sith playthrough where it was just like lightning in the left hand and like sword in the right hand, usually like the glass sword to make it look like a lightsaber or something. But yeah, but I don't know, Skyrim's pretty dated to do that on, and like it's kind of I don't know, there's not that, but I think that's probably just the biggest appeal of Skyrim is being able to do that. But at the same time, like I do also prefer like very well written narratives like Dragon Age or like The Witcher. So now it's kind of like hard, and I think that's the challenge for making those kinds of games is like have like kind of like balancing like player choice but also like trying to have a good narrative, because like I couldn't imagine what it's like to write like storylines and stuff like that for all these different choices if you have characters and stuff like that, when it just might be easier to write a good story and like taking away that
take away the agency and sort of just this is the story. Like I think both are good, but I think it's more immersive if it's like, well, I don't know actually if that's true. Like I was gonna say it might be more immersive if you have that agency, but when it comes to a good story is a good story, whether or not you're changing the outcome by influencing decisions. But I guess like the thing there is that you have to stay true to who your character is in order for it to feel like the ending is like a rewarding experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if they take the choice away from you, then as long as you like who the character is, it's like immersed, like in God of War, for example. Like there's no choices to make. You just experience the story. And if you like the aesthetic of dude with a giant axe, then like you're gonna love the game.
Yeah. I guess the RPG elements, like the choice you have is like how you upgrade like your combat style and stuff like that.
Yeah.
A question about D&D characters, because you've both played D&D. I know, Luca, you are human wizard.
Yes.
That is the
one character I've ever played.
Yeah. And you've played it in 2 different campaigns, albeit one very short one.
Yes.
Do you feel like that character race class combination is something that speaks to you because of who you are, or is it just what you're familiar with?
I mean both, because in all fantasy games, like I play a wizard if I can.
Okay.
I'm a magic caster in every game. Dragon Age, Skyrim, other games I can't.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was definitely, as soon as I read the class, I was like, yeah, wizard. And I wanted to play myself, so I was a human.
Yeah. So do you feel though that like Luca is a human wizard? Like if you feel like you were plopped into a fantasy universe, just like taken from this timeline and put in another, that's what you would be?
I mean, in the D&D classes, either maybe sorcerer instead, just based on, how you learn magic in D&D specifically. But yes.
Let's do it as sorcerer hands. What about you, Will? You default to sort of like a paladin or like a knight.
I think this guy'd be a paladin.
See, I don't know. I straight up, I think I would actually like if you were to take who I am right now and drop me into a D&D universe, I think I would actually be a wizard.
I would say the same thing.
Because like I like a third of like my entire job is like reading books. Like that's
Nerd.
Big nerd.
Nerd.
and so like I definitely kind of can relate to like that. It's just yeah, just like reading and then gaining the knowledge from that as much as I hate it and pretend that I am a paladin, but I'm not. I'm just
Yeah,
fucking
I was.
nerd.
It's funny you say that because I was gonna say I actually think you guys are this and this, and see what you thought about it. And for you, I absolutely feel like you are the wizard because you're very like, um, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but like you say,
Dork.
like your job entails a lot of reading, and I feel like you would be like, your personality traits would lead more towards like researching spells and be like, yo guys, I found this thing. In
Check out my
Mesopotamian
tome.
history I was researching, I found this spell. And Luca, I feel like you would be a rogue or like an
Oh,
artificer,
wow.
which is similar because I feel like you're very like intelligent and like not conniving in a bad way, but like resourceful in that like, yeah, like maybe you wouldn't be a thief, but you'd be like a specialist, like you'd have a little crossbow arm thing. You know what I mean?
I do.
What would you guys say if you were gonna plop me into a fantasy world? Which D&D class do you think I'd be?
Probably bard or fighter, I think.
I was gonna say Bard.
Nice. I win. Fuck, that's awesome. Okay, cool. That'll wrap up Matt's Meanders Mumblings. Will, what do you got for us today?
So I kind of had like two topics. One of them was, and like I couldn't really like kind of choose